This is how we create a list that is dynamic. The user is able to add items and remove them, and the list will show anything that we put inside the items array. In this exercise, we are going to see how to create a dynamic list. We've seen how to create lists in previous articles, but they were just static lists. We put the values manually just to see some examples of how to use some UI elements, variables, etc. But in the real world, we are going to load or download things from a server or from a database, and we will display a dynamic list. And then also on the other side, the user will be able to add things to a list. So we will know how to create dynamic lists, so we can add items, remove items, something more similar to the real world. Okay, so let's go through the description of this exercise and let's start it. Okay, we will create an app for managing a shopping list. Allow the user to add new items via a text field and a button. Display the items in a list, and then when the user taps an item, it will be removed from the list. So as you can see here, it's just a basic list with a text field and a button. So we will be able to add items, and then when we tap on one of them, we will remove. This is very useful if you want to do a grocery list. So you put all your elements there, and then you remove once you already purchased them. Okay, so you can go to the solution in order to go step by step, but yeah, let's go see how we are going to do it. Okay, if you create your Xcode project, you can start adding elements to the main screen. Okay, so the first step that we are going to do is to create our array of items. Okay, we need to store all those elements in an array in order to be able to know what we have to show in the screen. Okay, because we don't know right now, obviously, so the user will add anything there, so we have to store it in some place. So as usual, we will use a state bar that we can call items, and then this will be an array of strings. Okay, we only need to show the name, so just an array of strings will be okay, and this will start empty. All right, so next step, once we have the items defined, it's to show them. All right, so we are going to show a list that will use for each statement in order to load every single item on the list. So as usual, we will go through the indexes of this array. We can do that using this command that will go from 0 to the items count, excluding the last value. Okay, so we have here like 3 elements. Like salmon, potato, and water. We will go through 0, 1, and 2. All right. So for each of the items in the array, we will execute this block of code. Okay, that will contain a local variable that we will call index, because we are going through the indexes of this array. So okay, and then as a last step, we will define here the ID. This is not something that you need to understand right now. We will, as we've seen earlier, we will treat this in upcoming articles. We'll explain why do this and how we can use other ways to identify each of the items. Okay, for the moment, you can just use this syntax here, and you will understand in the future how this works. Okay, all right, so for each of the items in the array, we are going to show a text, and then we're going to show the name of that item. So we can access to that item with subscription, which is basically using this syntax here. Okay, we are accessing the items array, but only a particular item inside, which is the index. So every time this is executed with a different index, we will access to a different item of the array. Okay, so as you can see in the list, we are just showing the 3 items. Okay, then now we are showing the items that for now, obviously they are just mock items because we added this manually. But since we have this already, we can just try to remove when we tap. Okay, so first step is to detect that the user tapped the item. Right now, this is just a text, so we are not able to know that the user tapped on the item. Okay, we can do this adding a button, just a standard button with an action and the label will be our item. All right, and then we can do anything we want when the button is pressed with this action block. Okay, so as you can see now, this is interact table. So what we are going to do when the user taps on an item is just to go to the items array and say, okay, remove add index. That's it. This is a function that will do anything that it's needed in order to remove the item that is placed on that index. Okay, so when we click any of the items, this will be removed. Okay, something curious here, let me refresh the preview. Something curious here is that when I click in potato, for example, this is the index 1, right? But if I click again in the water, this is also index 1, because here we have, since we removed one of the items, now we have 2, so this is 0, salmon is 0, and then water is 1. So this is why we do things dynamic, because items are going to change. So when I click water, this index will be 1 already, again. Okay, so instead of having this as a static value, let's remove these items and let the user to add their own items. Okay, so we are going to put another element here. We will put it at the bottom. Okay, so we are going to put everything in a V stack because the list is going to be at the top, and then at the bottom we are going to have the text field and the button that will trigger the action to add the item to the list. Okay, so since these are 2 elements that are going to be placed horizontally, we are going to use an H stack, and then we are going to show a text field here with a title key and a text. The title key is the placeholder, so you can put here like add item. This will be shown in gray color when the text field is completely empty. All right, so for the text we need to store this text in a variable. All right, so we can just create it here, just a standard state bar that we can call input text and will be a string. Okay, and it will start empty. So this is a binding variable. We've seen this before, but just quickly, you only need to understand that we need to use the dollar symbol before using our variable. Okay, we will explain this in upcoming articles, but for now you need to understand that this is because the text field is going to change our variable. I mean, we can change our variable value and then that will change the text field, but there is another direction. This is bidirectional communication. So when the user taps on the text field itself will be the one that will change our input text. Okay, so that's why it's a binding, and that's why we need to use the dollar symbol. You only need to understand that, and then yeah, we will explain, and we will use these binding variables in advanced articles. So we added the text field, then we are going to add also the button with this initializer, action and label. So for the action we will do later, and then for the label we will do a text, simple text that will say add, all right? And then for this group, for these two elements, we're going to apply a padding in order to have everything inside the screen. Okay, and the last thing is that I like to apply some style here in order to have some rounded border in the text field, all right? So we have everything ready, okay? We have the text field here. We can write, we can click the button, but the last step we need to do is to add this text to our array, okay? So this is just one line action. We access to the items, and then we use the append function, which will add a string. So the string will be the input text, okay? So this will add the input text, the current input text, to the items array, and then the list will show whatever it is inside the items array, okay? One very last step is to clean this input, okay? Because if we put here potato and we add it, it will work, but then we have to remove this and then write again. So in a real app, we will just remove that text, okay? As I said earlier, when we change this variable, this will change the text field. This is a bidirectional communication. So when we put here potato and we add it, it's added to the list, and then the text field is cleaned. Then we can just remove our item, all right? So we can add, we can add here potato, salmon, or whatever, and water. Okay, so this is it. This is how we create a list that is dynamic. The user is able to add items and remove them, and the list will show anything that we put inside the items array. Okay, this is not static info anymore like in previous articles. This is just a dynamic list that the user can edit himself.